Hopefully everybody's up and running. We have about 250 participants today, which makes me so excited. I'm so glad to see all of you. I'm telling you, you are some of the first people that I've seen today. So I'm just so happy. I've seen my dogs. My kids were still in bed, but I left and here I am seeing all of you. So your faces make me so happy. And that's really the power of Zoom or any video conferencing tool, is that it gives you the opportunity to see people face to face and actually see their reactions. So we're going to get into video conferencing with Zoom. We'll start with Zoom today and go into Google Meet. Hopefully we'll have some time to do that at the end. So my name is Beth Clarke. I'm the Senior Director of Digital Leadership and Learning at CISA 2. And I'm so, like I said, excited that you are all with us today. So hopefully your sound is working well. We had our sound check with our music. What I'm going to do today is try and model using Zoom while we are learning about Zoom. So a few things that I always have is I have my presentation. Now, if you are doing a classroom lesson, you can have whatever you want up on the screen, have some kind of visual. You might even have like a bell activity, you know, might be as people are waiting to come in, you might have some kind of activity up on the screen. So as all of you are getting in, I'm hoping you can access this document, and we'll put this in the chat for you today. But if you go to bit.ly,
I don't have video, Beth.
You don't have any video?
No video, just audio.
Okay, so you're going to check your settings. Val, would you, Val or Mitchell, put in some ways that he could check his settings? And we'll actually get to that.
We are on it.
Thank you. So that'll be in your chat, although you don't have video. You can see us though, correct?
Correct.
Okay. So those of you who can open another tab, go ahead to this document here. We are going to be modeling how you can do some collaborative work. We'll see how it works with this many people on. If the document will crash, who knows? We'll go for it. The other thing I want you to know is that right now, you know, we're trying things. Like, I have not ever done a Zoom for this many people before. I'm being vulnerable. We're going to get through this all together. So know that as you are trying this with your students and with your staff, that, you know, we are all trying new things, and the support of each other is going to be really important as we do that. So let's try this and see. I'm hoping all of you have this document open. If not,
how do you open that document?
how do you open it?
Yeah, like I can't get out of the Zoom video.
Are you on an iPad?
Oh, to grab another device?
Or just open in the tab. You have
I'm on my computer and I can't open another window.
Yeah, I don't know how to either.
If you need to do that, hit your escape key and it will minimize your Zoom.
Okay, that worked. Thank you.
Yep. And then you'll be able to open another tab at that point.
I've been hitting the escape key and I cannot, and I'm on my computer, I cannot get to another document.
Okay, this is, I think, to go forward with some of the tech issues, if you could just put those in the chat, that would be really helpful, so that we can go on. But if you have tech issues, we have people on our chat. We have 3 people. Valerie is with us, Mitchell and Phil from CISA 2, and they can help provide some of that technical assistance. All right.
Okay.
So
are we supposed to go
you
to
could
the
just
bit.ly?
all mute. That would be really helpful. All right, now I'm muted. There we go. So this is just a cartoon to get us started, because this is where we're really at. For some reason we have a little yellow. I'll try and figure that out too. What I want to do is just model some things to share with your students as you're starting. So first of all, I always share some logistics. So as you guys were trying to get in, here are some settings on the bottom of your Zoom screen, and you're going to see audio. This is how you mute yourself. And I'm just going to ask, with this many people today, until we get into our breakout rooms, if you can keep yourself on mute and then just go to the chat for your questions. Video on or off. When you're talking with students, I always have, if it's a small group of students, you want to see their face, right? This is a really important time because all of us are feeling very isolated, and this tool gives us the opportunity to see each other. So I ask that when I'm with students that they keep the video on. And as a facilitator of Zoom, you can actually monitor this. You can actually set all students to be muted. You can open the mic up for them. You can also control their video as well. Now, for you guys and adults, if you don't want to have your face up, you can turn your video off and it will just have your name there as well. When we go into breakout rooms, I'm hoping that you will keep your video on, because it's, like I said, it's just such a nice connector that we can see each other. It's really important. So we talked about the chat. What is happening with my annotation tools? I'm gonna have to check this out. But I see that we have some yellow marks here. I may turn off annotation tools. I have them set to be on right now. So this is, look at, this is really interesting, a problem to solve for us. The chat option here you can see is up, and it's really important that you talk to your students about how to use the chat. So today we're going to use our chat to ask questions, to if you have some technical difficulties. One thing that you do want to talk about with your students too is, because you'll have a smaller group, what they will need to get on Zoom prior to Zoom. So make sure that you're either emailing older students or you're emailing the families. The next thing we'll talk about.
I'm just going to mute everybody again. There, everyone should be muted. If you could just be mindful of that.
Thanks, Val. So I just disabled annotation, and we're going to just keep going, and I'll keep working on getting that yellow stuff off of there. Zoom norms. So you want to talk about norms with your students. For example, I will be sharing my screen today, but you also can allow your students to share their screen and talk about something and present something. So depending on what settings you choose, you certainly can allow your participants to share their screen as well. We talked about our chat already. Today we're going to be breaking up into breakout rooms, and I'm going to show you that. I'm also going to show you a video on how to use video on here, and she'll talk more about that. But you will actually experience the breakout rooms. We're going to try it. We'll see how that works. We will be using a collaboration doc to share ideas, resources, questions, and just to experience that. I do suggest, as you are thinking about having interactive activities with students, just sharing a Google Doc where they can get ideas down, brainstorm, or do some kind of assignment is a great way for interaction. But you also can go out to tools that they are familiar with. And that is one thing I just want to mention as we're going into this virtual learning, is that we want to move into it slow and use minimal tools. For example, if students know how to use Google Classroom, continue to use Google Classroom. If they know how to use Padlet, continue to use Padlet. So as we're just starting on this journey, use the things that your students already know. They won't know Zoom probably because that you haven't needed it before this. So this may be the only new tool that you introduce. And really, just like you guys were participants who received a link, that's all they need to do is click on that link, just making sure they have the right equipment at home. Hopefully a Chromebook, iPad, something like that. And Wi-Fi, of course. And then you'll see here the other norm is to keep your mic muted to eliminate background noise. So you want to make sure that that is happening as well. So we're going to do a poll right now, and I just want to show this example for you. Some of you will have this option if you have the Pro version. Some districts have the Pro version to do a poll, and some districts will be using the school version that Zoom has allowed us to use now, which is the basic version. And so some of you will have this option, some of you won't. So I'm just going to show this, actually use it. We won't get too far into it, but let's just take a poll right now so that you can experience that. You should have something that pops up that is asking you 2 questions. Hey Val, while they're taking the poll, do you know, do I need to get out of the share screen to get rid of the annotations on here?
Let me look into that. I believe you probably do. It's a setting that I can work on that real quick.
I got it, Val. Thank you.
Okay. Yep. While you're taking the poll, there's a couple questions that people seem to be asking in general. So when Zoom is, there is a free version of Zoom, so there's a question about whether or not students can use it. And they could, just like they can create their own Google account. So yes, however, if you're the host and you're hosting a student meeting, there is a setting that you can enable so that students cannot enter without you. And then there's a question about using just the links, and do they have to have an email address? You can just create the link to the meeting. When the students log in, it asks for their name, so they don't have to have an email address that it goes to. You can put the link in a Word doc, in a whatever. It would just create that link when you schedule the Zoom meeting.
Thank you, Val. That's awesome. So as I take a look at the poll, we have about half and half that have a Zoom account already. Some have dabbled into it and some have not. And then how many of you have facilitated a Zoom meeting? About 16%. And there's about 4% that are kind of there. So this is good. This is why we're doing this. So what I wanted you to see is that you can do a quick dipstick to get some data from your students. It could be a quick pre-assessment. How are you feeling today? I mean, those are the kind of questions we want to always start with. How are you doing? We want to make sure that our mental health is as best as it can be at this time. So just really, getting that face-to-face and just having a conversation and asking, how are you, is fantastic. I want you to know too that as we talk about student accounts, like what Val was just talking about, compared to your account, a teacher account. So yes, absolutely. Students can create their own Zoom account. We have no control over that. Would I suggest or ask them to do that? No, I would not. Actually, what I would do is every educator should actually be the host of all the meetings. So what we're going to do today is I'm going to show you how to host and facilitate a meeting just like I am right now. So let's talk about why we need this tool. And the reason being is we need each other. Obviously, we were just talking about that and how important it is. And when I went to this slide, didn't your face just light up when you see that other face there? It's just such a great connecting point. When you are using this talk with words and body language, I mean, Try to be really expressive with your kids so that they can really connect with you, and try to look at the camera so that there's some eye contact. This is a great tool for synchronous learning. That means that we're all in this right now at the same time. Now, there's other tools that I want you to know, and we're going to cover some of those next week in some more webinars, but something called Screencastify or Loom. Those tools will actually record you, and you can create a video and upload that video to email or whatever you're using, your LMS, Google Classroom. And that is more of a an asynchronous learning opportunity for kids. And so sometimes if students can't be on at the same time, that's the best way to connect. So, but what I love about this synchronous opportunity is, again, I'm able to see you, you're moving, you feel real to me. So interact in small groups. Zoom is a great way for you to have breakout sessions and have students collaborate in small groups, which is going to be really important when we're getting into content. And then you can also have one-on-one sessions with students if you need to have that, or with parents, whatever works for you. I know when my son was applying to college and we were talking to his advisor, I said, can I send you a Zoom link? And she's like, I don't know what that is. So we connected face to face. It was so nice because then I could get the information and have this great conversation. So one-on-ones work very nicely too. We're going to talk a little bit probably towards the later half of this. Why would you choose Zoom over Google Meet? Like, when they're both free right now, and I would use them for different reasons. And so we'll talk about this. This is so nice for big groups to come together, and then also to have smaller breakout rooms. So today, this is another piece I just want to model. When you are working with your students, just make sure that they know what's happening. What are our objectives today during this meeting? And you could have an agenda, any of that kind of thing, but make sure that you have some of those pieces of what are we doing, and this is our plan, and this is how we'll get through it. So today I want to talk about building your video conferencing skills and learning the functionality pieces and the settings of Zoom and Google Meet, and then share ideas to enhance learning in our breakout sessions. I'm hoping that we can all talk about different ways we're going to use this. I've already had a bunch of emails this morning talking about, how we can use Zoom for different areas and content areas with different students. And so hopefully we'll be able to bring some of that together and then be ready to start. Now remember, too, as we get going, we're really on for an hour. I want you to know that there are a ton of resources, and on that sheet that I shared with you, I added resources at the end so you can take a look at those resources. I've also added a great video, and this is the video. It's Banyan Global Learning. And I found this video and I just really liked it. It was just a quick, I think 15-minute video, but he talks about the TITAC method. So as you are starting to use interactive video, which is your Zoom or Google Meet, think about these different areas. So is the teacher effective and engaging? So you want to make sure to be, not the monotone, but be engaging, have your facial expressions going, and all of that, and be well planned out, so what are you going to show the kids, and again, have those learning objectives. And then interaction, make sure it's tied to, again, your standards and your content, have your goals. And then technology, whatever you're using in the interaction piece, like we're going to that collaborative doc, make sure that the technology use is driven by the learning goals, and that's just across the board, making sure that whatever you're using is driven by your learning outcomes. So the presentation looks good. So let's talk about a couple things when you guys are getting ready. And the last part is the communication, so making sure you have really good communication. So the presentation part, you can see that I've created this in Slides, but what I did in Slides is that I downloaded it into a PDF file so that I can quickly get to my next slide. You see I don't have junk all around the edges, and if I try to present in the Google Slides, it won't work because I can't get to my other tabs and so on. So what I do, here's a trick, everybody, you might want to write this down, is I do my presentation in Google Slides, I download it to a PDF, I double click on that download, and boom, here I have this nice clean presentation to share. Now, if you're just sharing your desktop and you're showing them something like a link to an internet site, or something, a document, obviously you don't need this presentation. But if you're sharing content and want it engaging, certainly do that. You could actually create something in Pear Deck, but you'd have to be running Pear Deck, and that you could be running that on, well, that's another, you guys, that's a whole nother, next week we'll do a webinar on that. So let's talk about getting started. So I want to show you that I am trying to stay hydrated, so make sure you take care of yourself. I also have this, which all of you probably have as well, around me. I have my phone in case I need to text Valerie on the line, or Mitchell, or hey, something like that. You may want to have that as a back channel. They talk about having a back channel to support. Talk about your environment. So where are you getting set up? So as you are thinking about setting up at home, you will have disruption if you have children, if you have pets, dogs. My dogs will bark. At times that happens. So let your kids know, your students know that, you will be muting the mic at some times, and that you appreciate that their mic is muted as well, so that the dogs and pets and other siblings running around are not impeding on the conversation. So talk about that a little bit. It's not going to be perfect. It's not going to be this quiet cube, because you're at home, and home is full of life. So you want to think about finding the quietest area, and then try and find an area where the background is pretty simple.
So Beth, there are just a couple of questions. The one question was just to repeat what you were saying about the Google Slideshow and PDF.
Yeah, absolutely. So what you want to do is create your presentation in your Google Slides. After you do that, you have your presentation just like you normally would. You're going to go File and then Download, and it will give you some options to download. And what you're going to do is choose the PDF option. Once you download that, all you have to do is double click on the download. It will pop up just like I have it here. So you're going to just give it a try and see how that works for you, if you like that. Anything else, Val?
Sorry, I think people are trying to take a lot of notes, so they're just asking that we pause a little bit between pieces of information.
Sure. Just, I also just want to make a note too. We are recording this for you. We'll send it out to all of you. So when you get that recording, you actually can go through it as fast or as slow as you'd like. So you will have all of this information in a recording as well. That might help.
Yeah, thank you. And can you also talk about screen sharing? So most are new to that, and there's a question about whether students can share screens and how you share screens and that sort of thing.
When you first get in, actually, you'll see it in yours. Let's go back here a little bit. I'm going to just go back to this here. You see this screen, or the share screen section right here. That is exactly how I can't show you that because you can't see my screen, but you'll see it on yours. So all I did was click on share screen, and automatically I get this pop-up on top, and I can manually click on different things. I can annotate. When you guys go through, and I'll show you how to set up things, and you start, what I suggest is that you just do a test meeting where you are in it all by yourself, and you share your screen, and try different settings, and you'll be able to see how, you know, all of this works. It'll pop up. It's hard for me to show you that. That's why I have this other person who I'm going to show you a little video, because I can't actually show you what my screen looks like, but she can. I think she's like the magic Zoom lady. So I'm going to show you that in just a couple minutes.
I'm also going to post in the chat room the step-by-step directions for sharing your screen. Zoom has a tremendous support on their website, just support.zoom.us. They have tutorials, they have print screens, they have lots and lots of information. And now with the COVID-19, they even offer suggestions in terms of how to facilitate a meeting, some best practices, and how to use a lot of the tools that Beth is speaking about too. So if you needed a refresher, I'll share the link for the support page too, so that you know kind of what you can do and how you can go back to these things.
Yeah, that's awesome. Thank you, Val. Some of those resources are in the bottom of our page too, so you can take a look at those as well. So getting started for technology, what you want to think about is getting your hands on something that has a webcam, because of course you want to be visual. So if you have a Chromebook, a laptop, an iPad, if you have a desktop, if you have an external webcam, that works as well. Many of you have that. You want to think about a mic and speakers. Now, Valerie doesn't have her headset on. Many times when I'm talking to Valerie, she'll have actually a headset on with a mic. I tend to just use my mic and my speakers right off of my laptop. But you do a test run and see what you prefer. Many people I know use the Apple headphones, the little earbuds, and it has a mic here. They'll use that as well. So check out your technology and see what works best. I also want you to know that on anything iOS or Android, there is a Zoom app, and I use that. Like when I'm out and about and I have a Zoom meeting and I can't get to my laptop, I will connect via the app. So you can take a look at that. Zoom is in the Apple Store and also in the Android app store. So take a look at that. You must have internet access. Obviously, we need to be connected. And then, of course, just go to a Zoom account to get started. So for us to get started, what I want you to do is to actually use the Zoom school authentication link that they have offered. And some of you have already signed up for Zoom, and some of you haven't yet. If you haven't yet, I want you to actually, when possible, you can even do it right now, just open another tab. And I want you actually to go to Zoom. But before you do that, on our sheet that I shared, you'll see the Zoom school sign up, and you want to sign up through there. If you just go to zoom.us and sign up, you won't have the free 40 or the ceiling lifted. The basic account is a 40-minute account. That's the free. So you'd only have 40 minutes with your students. So if you go through this authentication page, you will then have an opportunity to have that lifted, and you can Zoom as long as you need to Zoom with your students. I see many of you are clicking on that.
Yeah, terrific. And remember, this is their basic Zoom, and they have released the 40-minute time limit. There is still a Zoom Pro account that allows you to have up to, I think, 300, maybe 500 people, and has some more advanced features.
Yeah, and I know some districts have purchased Zoom Pro, and that's what Valerie is talking about, those advanced features. But don't worry if you don't have Pro, it will be great. You don't need that. All you need to do and all you need to be thinking about right now is just connecting with your students and seeing them. I think that if we can just give them a connecting point to see you, they're going to be missing you. So just getting them on and laughing together and just having a conversation, that's really what your first Zoom should be all about. No content, kick that all out. Bring in humor and check in with your students. That's really, and just say, this is just a test. We're just trying this for the first time, and really go down that road. So let's go back to getting started. So we're going to go through some settings and then connect you up with the calendar, which is such a great feature. So I just opened an incognito. I feel like I'm undercover right now with Zoom because it will automatically in my browser always go to my Zoom account that I've gone to forever. So I went to a different browser or a tab that will allow me to be in settings that look just like you. So what I want you to do, if you are listening, you can have your other tab open, but when you go here, you can sign in, you can authenticate with Google. So I put in my email account. You guys would put in your school account. And then it's going to pop up and look like this. So now I'm in Zoom. So remember, this is, you are the host. So in your Zoom account, you're going to see on the left side, profile. You can change your picture, delete it, whatever you need to do. This pulled it actually from my Google account. So if your Google account does not have a picture on it, or if you have a picture of a logo or something like that, or a mascot of some sort, I would seriously think about putting in your picture. Because remember, again, we're trying to get as much face-to-face as we can, connecting with humans. So if you have something else in there, I would advise you to change it to you at this point. So I
wonder if we could just pause just for a second. There's a lot of questions about the Google accounts and whether or not people should authenticate through their Google account, and that's perfectly fine. You can do that. And then do students log in through their Google accounts too? So when you send an invitation to the students or you post the invitation, it basically creates a URL. So you can either email it, you can put it in your Google Classroom, however you want to do that. The students click that and then it asks for their name. So unless they are hosting a meeting, they don't necessarily need to register with an email address.
Excellent. Thank you, Val. So anyway, some settings quick, and then I'm going to talk about some bigger settings for your meetings. So in here, you'll see that it'll tell you what kind of account you have. And then I'm linked to Google right now. That's how I authenticated. You'll see that all of the basic accounts right now are at 100. So you can meet with up to 100 students or people, participants at this time. And just to let you know that Google Meet also up theirs to 100. So that's fantastic. We're able to actually reach out to more students. And then go ahead and take a look at this time zone. This is really important that you are on Central Time because that's what we're on. That's what our students are on. We want to make sure that that is set correctly. And then, you know, the date format and so on. So this other piece right here, this is how you can connect to your calendar. And I love this option. So if you click on Connect to Calendar, you can choose whatever school calendar that you use. And if you don't see yours up here, choose the Exchange. I think that's an ICS file, and that will get you to where you need to go. So I would choose Google, allow Zoom, and then what it's going to do is connect to my calendar. I'm not going to do this right now because it will take time. You can do that. Just allow it to connect to your calendar. And what that does is it allows you to connect to, let's see if I have my calendar up here. I was ready to go into Meet. That's a quick shortcut, by the way. If you don't have your little waffle up or your apps, you can just type in whatever the app is for Google and then google.com after it. So if I were to now plan a meeting, you can see here Zoom is connected, so I can add my title, I can add my guests. All I have to do is click on make it a Zoom. It's made it a Zoom for me, and I can click on save. This now is in this calendar event, so if you choose to use this with your students, you could create a contact group of your students, or just type in their email addresses, or you can just copy this link right here, and that can go right into your classroom or however you're delivering communication to your students. I hope that didn't get too crazy for you, but I love that option of connecting to your calendar. And remember, you can rewind this at some point, this recording, and take a look at that at another time. So let's get back to our Zoom. So this is what you will have to save in your profile. Let's take a look at settings. Now settings are immense. Like, there are a lot of settings, and I don't want you to panic about this, but what I did is on your sheet, the collaborative sheet that I shared with you, you will see on the bottom all of my settings and how I have them set up. So if you get overwhelmed, take a look at that sheet and just copy what my settings are, and you should be good. I thought, oh my gosh, it gets overwhelming. I thought if you just had my settings, just copy those down and don't worry about it. There are a few things though that you need to know as a host. So let's go through a couple of those. So do you want to start your meeting with your video on? Some people don't prefer that. Some people don't want to start their meeting right away on cue. So you can actually keep this off, or you can always turn this on. Remember, right now what we're doing is we're setting up your meetings. This is kind of going to be your default as you're setting up. Now, I don't mind it on, but if you guys don't want it on, just keep it off. Do you want participants to have their video on? Your videos were on when you came on today, but as others talk, they are talking about best practices that maybe we keep the video off. But I'm thinking, as with students, you might want to have those on. So immediately when they come up, it's not another option for them to click on. Your students are right there and ready to go. So you may want to turn this on. This is how I have mine, but again, that's up to you. So the other piece that I want to talk about with your free account is that the one thing that they're having a hard time with bandwidth is this telephone piece. So as you see audio type and it says, can people access by telephone and computer? Because I have the Pro, uh-oh, what's happening here? Because I have the Pro account, I am able to offer the telephone, but on the school account, that free account that you have, they have disabled that option. So when we talk about IEPs and these really critical meetings that some folks need to phone in for if they don't have devices at home, I would suggest using Google Meet, because Google Meet still gives you that option to conference call in. And see how Zoom is going to be important, for some things, and Google Meet will be important for some things as well. So do you want students to join before you? No, you don't. Don't worry about this PMI. I don't want you setting that up. It's a personal meeting room, and we're just talking instruction right now. So you can take a look at those settings another time. Do you want to require a password when scheduling meetings? Now, I typically leave this on, and in the link, it actually has the password. So you don't have to worry about other people getting into your meeting. These instant meetings, those are quick. I have this on, but you don't have to have it on. You're not going to have these instant meetings. You're actually going to send out a link, so don't worry about that. We're going to keep moving down because I'm telling you this would take the whole hour. And this is, you guys, this right here, embed password and meeting link for one-click join. Yes. Okay. You can see I'll just keep these off. Mute participants upon entry. Now this is totally up to you. Do you want everybody to be muted when they come in? I would suggest yes. It might be chaos, but right away you're going to have to teach them kind of your expectations about when they can communicate to you. So make sure you have your norms ready for video conferencing. Upcoming meeting reminder. We don't need that with our students. Chat. So do you want the chat on for all participants? This I would choose right here, prevent participants from saving the chat. They don't need that, your students, I'm assuming, unless you have a reason for them to save the chat. But that's up to you. You can choose that. Do you want students to be able to private chat with each other? Guess what the answer is to that, probably, right? Let's turn that function off so that we do as adults. I love that somebody can private chat me, like Beth, you know, make sure you're watching X, Y, and Z or something. But for you and your students, turn that off. Now, play sound when participants join or leave. I would say for you, you might want to have that on. It gives you this ding dong kind of a sound and this kind of whoosh when they leave. And you may want to know if somebody has jumped on or off. And by the way, when you are hosting a meeting, you can manage participants. And in that manage part, you can actually mute participants. So if a student is being inappropriate, you can mute. I can't show you that right now, but I'm going to show you that in the video in just a little bit. Feedback to Zoom. No, we're going to just go down. Screen sharing. You want this on, and this is the important part for you. So do you want to only have the option for yourself to screen share, or do you want the option for all students to be able to screen share? But this is the important piece here. Who can start sharing when someone else is sharing? So kids can't take over your screens. I would just say the host is the only one who can take over a screen. Let's see, annotation. Remember how we had that yellow annotation going on? You can actually turn that off if you want. Annotation is kind of a neat tool because if you have, let's just say that you guys want the whiteboard up, it's right here, the whiteboard. That's an option when you go to share. Remember how your share button is at the bottom. It's that green square with the arrow. If you click on that share button, you will have the option to choose a whiteboard, and on there you could just have the whiteboard up and have the kids doodling together like a collaborative doodle. When you're in your annotation tools, you can actually take those down, like clear the screen, which we just did today, and some other options, and you can disable annotation right in your meeting as well. Remote control, that's if you want to help a student on the other side, you could do that. You won't use it very much. Now here, you guys, this is where you need to get into a little bit. I can't believe it's 1:46 already. I'm just saying, all of you, if you can hang on with me a little bit longer, that would be fabulous. So I know we're moving into like 45 minutes, a lot more to cover. Breakout room, you want that on. That's gonna enable you to That's going to enable you to set up rooms and randomly or by you can actually set up which students are in what room. All right. Remote support, we already talked about that. Closed captioning. Let's talk about closed captioning for a moment here. So what we found out about closed captioning is if you turn it on, which I have it on for us right now, but you're not seeing anything, because when you turn on closed captioning, these are your options. You can have somebody type, so you can actually assign a member of the class to type, which good luck with rapid fire typing, right? Or you as a host can type and it will actually show up. Now, you think that's kind of crazy, right? I mean, is that actually going to happen? No, but there is a third-party option. So I was looking into the third-party options, but you actually have to pay for that option. So if you were just to Google like Zoom closed captioning third-party options, you will see some of these places pop up, but you actually have to buy a subscription. So in that case, if you need closed captioning, you're going to go to Google Meet. Because in Google Meet, you can do closed captioning with a click of a button. It picks up your voice and it will actually have a running caption going as you are talking. All right, this kind of stuff, let's see, a virtual background. You can actually have a background. So let's just say it's crazy and you are, your background is cluttered and whatever, you don't have time to deal with it. You can actually have a virtual background. I can't show you that right now because my machine is not optimized to do that. But if you have something, a machine that has an i7 core processor, we're not going to get into the details anyway, you can add a background and I'll show you those options in a little bit. We can keep going down. Waiting room. You guys were all in a waiting room today prior to the meeting. So if you want to set up a waiting room, click this on. It's a nice option because then I was able to allow Valerie, Mitchell, and Phil to come in. Those are my 3 co-hosts for this meeting. The 3 of us were together for 15 minutes to kind of talk about how this was going to go. And then with a click of a button in when you manage participants, all of the participants were able to join the Zoom and you were able to hear my music or whatever, do your sound check. So having a waiting room is kind of a nice feature. You don't have to have a waiting room though. So just keep that in mind. It's nice to have this option here, but as you set up your meeting, you can choose to have that or not. All right, email notifications, go ahead and take a look at that. When do you want to be emailed? And I believe that is all. I think we would be good. So, remember, that's the biggest part are all these settings. Take a look at my settings that I screenshot for you. You can use those. With all of that being said, how is the chat?
It is robust, Beth.
I bet it is.
You know, we're getting some questions about Google Meet and whether or not, you know, just kind of the differences between the two. First of all, do you feel like you'll have some time to share Google Meet as well?
Yeah, I mean, if you guys can stay longer, stay on. I mean, we scheduled this for an hour, but we can stay on longer as long as you guys, I will go through a few more things with Zoom, a lot actually, and then we'll get into Google Meet. So if you guys can hang on. If you can't hang on, don't worry. Remember, we'll send you the recording and we certainly can get that to you so you can watch it at your convenience. Anything else, Val?
So there's a question about what happens when you record a meeting. So when you record a meeting in Zoom, it will save the file to your computer and then you can upload it wherever you want. So it saves it as a video file. Are there options for Spanish speaking students? That's a good question. I'm afraid I can't answer that one. Do you know the answer to that one?
Actually, I don't know that. It is not that I have seen anything in multi-languages at all with Zoom. Of course, you could be speaking in Spanish as far as closed captioning or any kind of directions. That's a good question. We're going to have to dig into that a little bit more, for sure.
Yeah. I would imagine you'd have to have some sort of a third-party translation. I have not seen that feature in Zoom either. But it's becoming a very, very popular tool. So that and Peloton, right? So I believe, you know, just watch. I'm sure they're adding more features very rapidly.
Yes, absolutely. All right, so I am in my account right now. I just wanted to show you the recordings so that you could see what Val was talking about. So any kind of recording will pop up right here for you. Did you see on the left side? I just clicked on recordings and you will see any of these. Now, the deal with recordings is you can actually record locally to your computer. That's what that's doing. It'll find a local place, or you'll see right here, any local recordings, or it will go right to the cloud. Now, with everybody who is processing videos right now on Zoom, it's taking a while for those to be processed. Just be aware of that. So typically like an hour meeting will be processed within 20 minutes, is now taking like half of a day or more. So just be aware that if you can record locally, go for that option.
And just a language update, you can change the language in Zoom. So thanks to Kim, and I found the link for it and I'm posting it in the chat room too. Thank you, Kimberly.
Thank you, Kimberly. That's awesome. Appreciate it. All right, now let's go to meetings because this is where we're at the heart. We've got our settings kind of set up to go. Now what we're going to do is schedule a meeting. So you can see right now I'm on with you all right here, but let's schedule a new meeting. You can go up here, schedule a meeting, or schedule a meeting right here. So I'm in the Zoom software right now. Remember, the other way that I schedule meetings is right through my calendar now because I'm connected, right? So I can go right in Zoom if I want to though, and I can put in my name of my meeting. You can put in a description, so anybody that you send the link to will get this description. Remember how you set up your central time, so we've got to make sure that we're on central time. You're going to decide when this meeting will happen. You can use the little calendar and what time. You can set your time. Now, the one thing I want you to know is that the duration of this Zoom meeting, we set for an hour, but I'm just telling you right now that Zoom will not cut you off. So let's say that
Actually, Beth, people are saying that they had it in for 2 hours in their calendar. So
that's fabulous.
yeah.
Okay, good to know. So with that being said, I must have put 2 hours in here just to make sure. And so Zoom is going to let you know, the person who you sent this invite to is going to let you know how long it will be, but it won't cut you off. So if we go 3 hours, which we won't go 3 hours, you can continue to have a Zoom with your students as long as you need. There's our time zone. Is this a reoccurring meeting? So as you set up this template right now, is this something that will happen daily? Will it happen once a week? You can actually set that up if you're interested in that. This is how we got you to register today. So I'm not thinking that you're going to use this very often, especially with your students. Don't click on, kids don't need to register for your meeting, but you can choose this to be required and then it will set you up from there. So we're gonna generate automatically this meeting ID, this password, and then here, this is, remember how we could set up our default settings? This is where you can choose just for this video, this meeting, if you want kids to be on or off, if you want to be on or off. So we could set that up where I don't want to be seen until I turn on my own video. Students will be seen right away. This option we're going to just keep, it will probably for you just show your computer option. And then here are some meeting options. So this is, again, do you want to mute upon entry? This is just for this meeting right now. Do you want to enable the waiting room? Well, yes, because I enabled it, I can actually use it now here. This option wouldn't come up if you didn't enable that in your settings prior. Mute, let's have everybody muted. Authenticated users, this just means if there are people who are Zoom users, they can, only Zoom users who have an account can use this, so don't even think about this, just cross this one out. This is your breakout room pre-assignment, so if you want to break out rooms and assign them before the meeting, you certainly can do that. And then this is where you can record the meeting automatically. Think about the reasons why you would want to record a meeting. If you don't have to record it, don't record it. If it's just a time that you're going to connect. If you think as far as safety or having documentation, record it. Whatever you think is appropriate, and then click on save. Once you have these options for your meeting, what it's going to do is it's going to kick out this information. So you can add it to your calendar right away from here. You can also, this is the URL to join. Now you can see off on, I gotta move a few things here, off to the right, this copy the invitation. When you click on copy the invitation, you'll get a pop-up. Is that showing for you guys, the pop-up? Val?
Sorry, yes, it is.
Okay, awesome. So you're going to have this invitation here. Now, for your students, this is a lot of information. All they really need is this link right here, right? That's it. Once they have that link, off they go. They'll be able to pop in. All of this other stuff, like, you know, you guys could call in if you needed to and so on my meetings. But if you don't have Pro, you're not going to be able to have people call in. So they just need that link. If you copy that meeting invitation, it will copy it to your clipboard and you can paste it in whatever you want, whatever email, Google Classroom. But like I said, you really don't want all of this junk for your students. It's the link that's really important, so copy that. And you can copy that right here as well. Check all of your settings to make sure you're good to go. And then, when you're ready, you can start your meeting. Oh, I was going to say I already have another room, so I can't do it. But you can launch your meeting, and hopefully your students on the other end will be waiting for you in the waiting room. Woo, right? I'm going to just kick this off right now.
Excellent. While you're doing that, if I can just, there's a couple questions. If you wanted to have just an open meeting, you can create your own room, and you can create a custom URL so that you could have it open for students. Maybe you want to have office hours between, I don't know, noon and 3 or something like that. They can just click on that link and it can stay open. So yes, you can use the same URL to host those meetings.
And that is called your PMI. Let me see if I can. I caution you on using that just because people can pop in at any time. You can see this is actually my meeting room right here. And I would only give this to certain people that I want to be able to pop in at any time. You know, totally up to you, but you don't want to have that open all the time and then just have random, you know, have it open for your office hours, just like what Val was saying. Make sure you have it closed. You don't have that just open whenever, because people can then just pop in and.
Right.
Right?
So, yeah, let's say, for example, you give out, here's my personal meeting link, and maybe it's, you know, 8 o'clock and you're finally getting a chance to relax. You'll get an email alert that somebody is in your Zoom room. So just like, you know, in any online instruction, you want to be very, very explicit with your instructions, and you just let them know that this is when I'm available, so that if they try to contact you at another time or they try to go in the room, they're not waiting for you. So you want to be very explicit in terms of what your office hours are, but you will see that come in your email. And as my graduate students were just learning the tool, I would get them like at random times at night, and I just reminded them, hey, these are my office hours. And you know, you would not, so Rhonda's asking, you could use that, that personal meeting room, and then that would be the same link that you would use indefinitely if you wanted to have that static link.
Absolutely. Thank you, Val. Okay, so we're going to try this. We're going to try showing a video. I want you to be able to use video clips if you want to use Edpuzzle or, you know, whatever you use as far as YouTube, any kind of instructional video, you can actually show through. The one thing I want you to know, and you can't see it on my screen, but what you want to do once you have this up, so I'm going to just kind of verbally talk you through this, is you will have a toolbar on the top when you are sharing your screen. And there's 3 dots on the right side that say more. And what you want to do is go down to optimize for full screen video clip. And when you show a video, that's what you want to do. And then when you're done showing a video, you want to turn that option off. So let's try this. Oh, by the way, let's pretend now that you're in your meeting and now you have all these participants or these students. So let's
ready in your meeting. All right, the next thing is really important, how to manage your participants. And we're going to talk about this in detail, but
Valerie, can you hear that?
I could hear that just fine, yes.
Okay, I just wanted to check. So I just wanted to check that all of you can hear the video and that you can see it.
But the one thing that I really wanted to show you first is the waiting room. So by clicking on the Manage Participants tab down here, I open this menu. We're going to come back to this, but I want to click on the More drop down to the bottom right corner, and this is where I can turn on the waiting room if I don't have it already turned on. So I turn it on, and now I can see that my friend Ashley is waiting to come into my meeting. So when she's in the waiting room, I will receive a little like a noise in my ear letting me know that someone's waiting. I can then admit or remove her. If she's in the waiting room with other people, so it's like a small group, I will have another option here that says admit all. So I could just pull everybody into the meeting at once. When she's in the waiting room, what will she see and hear? Well, she will not see anything happening in my meeting. She will not hear anything happening in my meeting. And if she's in the waiting room with others, they do not see and hear each other either. So she's just kind of in this waiting space, really. And this is what she will see. So it's a little screen, you know, it has a nice logo. Hey, you're in the right place. It's just that you're in the waiting room, and we will let you in, you know, here pretty soon. So that's what she'll see. Another great thing, she can test her speaker and her microphone from down here while she's in the waiting room. So that's what it looks like. Now, if you have our pro license, so the paid level of service, you get one more really great feature. And I have to take you back to our settings. So where we were earlier today, I'm going to jump down to our advanced settings. And that's where we found waiting room right here.
And moving
for them. So they will have to turn it on themselves, but you can send them a message, hey, please turn on your webcam. So that is your option. You could make somebody else the host. I typically don't do that because there's only one host per meeting. So I don't like to just, you know, give up my host controls unless, let's say I'm leaving early and then I needed somebody to take over for me, then I would consider doing that. Another thing you can do if you have the pro account, so if you have our paid level of service, you'll have the option to choose someone as a co-host. And so let me make a distinction. To choose a co-host or to have the ability to choose a co-host, you need the pro license. However, the person that you choose as your co-host does not need a license or anything at all. They just need to be a person on this list of people that are, you know, in your meeting. So you can do this only during the meeting or after the meeting is in progress. Make somebody your co-host. They would be able to help you mute, unmute people. They can help you launch polls. A little bit later when I show you breakout rooms, they can go in and out of breakout rooms with you. So that's a really great thing if you needed some help. They can help you manage the chat. So just something to consider there for your co-host. One more thing I'll talk about, you can allow someone to do a recording. By default, only the host has that permission. So if you'd like to give that privilege, you can do that from right here. Okay, back over here, we can see hands if they are.
I'm going to just pause for a second and just let you know that this pop-up right here comes up when you click on, remember when you share your screen, you have that toolbar on top, which you can't see right now. And it says manage participants. If you click on manage participants, this is the pop-up that's going to come up where you can actually take a look at who's in your meeting at the moment, who's muted, who's got their camera on, and so on, and you have control of all of that.
Raised the microphones and the videos of each person. And then one more great feature, if you hear a lot of background noise, it's a little bit distracting and you want to get rid of it, just click mute all and it will cut all the microphones. So then after that, you can decide, do I want to allow to unmute themselves, or I could even take that away and then they would stay on mute after that. Quite a few options there for managing. All right, the next thing is polling. So this part is really fun. We took a poll.
All right, we're not going to go on to polling because not everybody has it. You experienced a poll, but if you do have it in your district, that's something that you may want to look into. Just do a search on polling in Zoom and it'll walk you right through that. What I would like us to do next actually is to go to our breakout rooms. And what I want to do is just model how we can set this up. So I see that our table is gone. Let me see if I can undo. We'll see if we can find it. That's all right. What I want us to do, we'll do this. I'm going to insert a table again. And because I do want you to see how interactive this can be, and then we'll figure out where that other table went. Let's do 20. All right. So on this here, I had some questions up above, and you know, when you have this many people who are collaborating on a document, that's certainly going to happen. Just talk to students about norms and trying to figure out how to collaborate in one space, and if something is deleted, you know, how do you get it back and so on. What we're going to do though, what I want to do is model how you could set up an interactive activity or a discussion in small groups. So you're going to experience it first, and then we're going to go back to the Zoom lady, and she's going to talk about how you can set that up, and she'll show you the screen. So what I want us to do is when we go off into our breakout rooms, I want you to choose one person who is going to be the scribe or who is going to be typing. And the questions I want you to think about are, what ideas do you have to use Zoom in your educational setting? And then second, and the second part can go off over here, is what burning questions still remain? And I'm sure that Val is doing a great job of taking care of those questions in the chat, but we certainly, or what needs.
Doing my best, Beth.
Yes, I'm sure you are. Or do you have any certain needs? Okay, and I want you to have a conversation, and what we're going to do, let's see what time it is. It's 2:10 right now. So let's say we're gonna just do this for 5 minutes, so nobody type anything yet. So when we get into our breakout rooms, I want one person from the group to choose. Now I had them numbered before, we're not doing that. So I want you to get your cursor on one of these, so just choose one of these, try not to type over each other, and I want you to have a discussion about what ideas do you have to use Zoom, what will be helpful for you, and then what questions do you have. 5 minutes, this is what I'm going to do. I'm just going to talk through this right now, you guys. And if you don't have access, that's okay, just you're going to hang out in your breakout room. So right now we have 176 participants, and it's telling me that we could have 44 rooms, which I'm not going to do. Instead, we're going to do 20 rooms. So there'll be 8 to 9 participants. That's what it's telling me right now. I'm not going to do anything manually to set this up. And I'm going to click on create breakout rooms. Now, all of you right now on my screen, I can see the rooms that you are in. If I find that, oh my gosh, this might not be a good idea, I have the option to move you to another room. So just so you know, as a facilitator, you can move your students around to rooms where you think they'll be successful. It's totally up to you. At first, as a facilitator, it will not put me in a room. I'll be able to see once I click on open all rooms, I'll be able to see who went to what room, and then I can like kind of go in and out of rooms. 2 things when you guys get into your rooms. One, it's going to say, hold on a second. It'll give you kind of this prompt that comes up, and that it will say you're going to breakout room. And then once you get in there, you can also ask for help too. So you can tell your students, like there's a little option to click on help, and then the facilitator can go into that room to support. Okay, clarity. We've got our document. I'm going to move you to your rooms. We're going to take 5 minutes. We need 1 scribe.
So if I can just, so there are just a couple of questions in the chat room. So you're going to get a little message on your screen that will take you to the room. You don't have this feature probably yet because Beth is modeling what it looks like. So for the breakout room feature, you probably would need to create your Zoom basic account given that link. And remember, it's something that needs to be turned on in settings. And I imagine we'll probably do a second Zoom, and we can go through some of these features a little bit more in detail as well.
Yep.
And some people are also saying there's some fuzziness to the screen. I think that probably has to do with some connectivity and such, given that we have so many people online. Now it's a little bit, and now it's much clearer, yeah.
Yes, you know what that was, you guys? Because when I showed the video, it was optimized for the video and I forgot to turn it off. Thank you for that feedback.
And so you will be taken to a Zoom breakout room. Beth has not launched them yet. So even if you don't have Zoom Pro, in order to host your own breakout rooms, you would need the Zoom Pro. In order to participate in a breakout room, however, you do not. So in a minute, you're going to be a participant in a breakout room. You're going to see something on your screen and it will take you there. So you don't see it yet. So I think we're all good.
Valerie,
Okay.
can I just specify, I don't think you need Pro for breakout room.
I'm sorry, the basic account. You would need your own Zoom account, right? And right now, most of you are in as a guest.
All right, here we go. So as you went out to your breakout rooms, you were able to talk to each other in a smaller, more intimate setting. And you can see here some ideas. Look at all of these great ideas. I love this. Crowd sourcing, look at this. This is great. I think what we'll do is, we are not going to be able to address all of our questions right here, but what we can do on this document when we are done is we'll try to address those questions or give you a link that would help support those. And just like Val said, we can do another Zoom meeting where we are talking more detail. It looks like there's some questions about the whiteboard. And it's hard to show you that on a Zoom, but maybe we can have another one where we break or we do it, do a whiteboard together with less people. So thank you for having the conversation. Now you can see how you can take a big group and break it up into smaller groups. And what I noticed too is that some people ended up in a group, and this won't happen with your students because they're all going to be there and ready. And hopefully participating, but some may have put their computer on hold and went off and did something. So when I assigned people there might not have been people to talk to. So all I did was I moved participants to other groups. So some of you probably saw some late poppers coming into your group to participate. So it's very easy to use. So let's find out, let's go back to our Zoom gal 50. I want you to see how you can set that up easily. She's got, here it is. She's got some great visuals for you to take a look at. Now, before she comes up, what do I need to do, you guys? Question, and you're all saying it, but you're muted. So I have to go up to my More menu and optimize for video clip. And then hopefully, and you'll probably have some students who will help you to remember that we have to click off of that so the screen isn't fuzzy. Well, here we are. And we are in the Wheel of Death, as we call this here. Let's see if I can pause it again. It might be because we have so much going on. Let's try this again. One more time. If it doesn't work, we'll move on. Oh, awesome.
The breakout rooms. And you can set up to 50 breakout rooms, an excellent way to do some small group activities, small group discussions. So let's go through this. I'm going to click on breakout room, the panel there, and then I have some options that pop up. I also am sending out the links that have breakout as well as some recording that I'm going to talk about in a second. So I can see how many people are in my meeting, and then I can choose the number of rooms I would like to create. I can let Zoom do this for me automatically at random. If I want a little bit more control, I could do it manually if I prefer. Maybe have a co-host help you with that, since that could be a little time consuming. I'm going to go ahead and do automatic. And then when I'm happy with all this, I'm going to go ahead and create the rooms. And they are not started just yet. So this gives me some time to take a look, just make sure that everything looks good. If I want to make changes, I can. I'm just going to hover over the name. I can move someone to a different room. I could even exchange one person for another person. So get all of that set up and ready. Come down here, check on the options menu. Do you want to move everybody out automatically? Would you like for them to be allowed to come back to the main session? Up to you. Maybe set a time limit and maybe even send a countdown for when the rooms are about to close. So you've got the settings ready and the rooms ready. Now we're going to open those rooms. You can see they're in progress. You'll receive the notification. Everybody's been invited to join, and as they join, you'll notice that the main meeting that we were in starts to clear out and everybody has joined in. So I can see the green dot that lets me know that they're joined into the breakout room. And in the breakout room, it's just taking a big Zoom meeting and making little Zoom meetings. So they have all of these basic functions that we have, in a Zoom meeting. So they can collaborate and talk a little bit. If I wanted to send a message out, I think this is a great way to send directions. Maybe, hey, everybody, work on blah, blah, blah for the next 5 minutes, broadcast the message out to every room. And then in their breakout rooms, they have a little button that says ask for help, which is great. So if they need help, I get the notification, and then I can join room 6 and I can go and help them for a little bit. Then I can leave the rooms at will, and my co-host can join and leave the rooms as well, so they can help me out a little bit. And then leave the rooms or return to the main session. So these are really fun to play around with and see if maybe that's something you could use for the future. Let's talk about chat. So we've only got a few minutes left. We're almost done here. The chat.
All right. Good. So now you were able to see actual settings for breakout rooms, so that'll make more sense when you go there.
Yeah, and there were just a couple questions. So you're in as participants, but as the host, you see a lot of different things for the breakout rooms. So for example, you can move people to different rooms. You can pop into rooms and join their conversations. You have, you manage when the meeting ends, when the breakout rooms end, when they start. So the breakout rooms management tool is something that you'll see as the host. And I linked a little video that shows you how to do that as well, and we'll certainly be supporting you. But if any of you feel like you want to try to host a meeting and practice that, drop us a note. We'd be happy to play with you too.
Absolutely, we certainly would. any kind of practice. Like I said, even getting on by yourself and just practicing. Now, if you're going to do breakout rooms, you may want to have a couple other people if possible. But if you have a team that you can work with and each of you is a host at different times and you are practicing with each other, that would be fantastic. All right, so you will see the share screen. I'm just going through. So when you are all done with your meeting, what you will do is there's something, you'll see an option to end, and you guys will see this too when we're done, to end the meeting actually. And I am just thinking right now as far as chat, I left this so that you can actually download the chat if you want it as a participant. We'll be taking a look at that chat and we'll have it also transcribed and archived. You can change the chat setting in the right side too. There's 3 little dots there. When you are facilitating and hosting, you can do that. And we talked about recording. So if you are recording, it will automatically generate a link for you at your in your account at zoom.us. So you'd have to go back to Zoom and find that recording. So that is Zoom, everybody. In a nutshell, an hour and a half later, right? A nutshell. But this is awesome. I'm so glad that you guys are all hanging in there with us. It's a lot, right? All the stamina that we have to do. But I wanted to go into Google Meet too, because some of you might be hanging on for Google Meet. Google Meet is simpler. And it does not have breakout rooms. And so again, we're talking about when would you use Google Meet compared to Zoom. So Zoom would be facilitating instruction and having those discussion meetings, or I just feel like Zoom is really robust and it's also stable. I feel like it is the most stable video conferencing tool right now for us to use that we can access. Google Meet does work. They're still working out some of the bugs, but as far as using it with students, students can take over the host. They can bump kids off. And so that's why I really like Zoom for instruction with students. Now, if you need to have a telephone conference call, Meet works. If you need closed captioning, Meet works. You know, so you've got to kind of think of those 2 different things. So let's take a look at it. Meet is pretty simple. So I am going to go to, just like I said, sometimes I just do my shortcut with putting the app and then google.com. It'll take me to Google Meet. So right now, you guys, you are all participating in a Zoom, but now I'm showing you a different tool. So this is exactly what you would be doing with your students. You don't, of course, have to be showing them Zoom. That you don't want to show them Zoom. You want to be showing them your content and what you want to share. So right now I'm going to show you how to start a Meet. So right here, I'm going to call this test 2 and continue. So the camera is starting, it's looking for my webcam. And I'm going to click join now. I'm going a little fast, but don't worry. Remember, you can get this on video. So right here, if this is what I want to share out, you can see I can copy. Remember how Zoom did that too? It kind of gave you that info, the invite info, and you can copy it. This is where you can copy and paste this into an email or whatever. And you can actually add people to the meeting right here as well. So let's just X this out. So here's my meeting. Whoa, it's a little bit close. Let's move on back a little. And what I want to show you is, I gotta get some of this stuff out of here, is that you have some options on the bottom. So as we are looking at those, do you see how we can turn on the captions right here? So as I am talking, it's going to pick up my voice as best as it can. Now remember, this isn't 100%, but it will do the best that it can. If I click on present now, this is where I can share my screen. So in Meet, it's called present. So if I click on present, I can present my entire screen and you'd be able to see that. I'm going to cancel. We're not going to do that. You will see down here your settings. So you'll see this is where you and any participant can turn off the camera or mute themselves. And here are the details again for the meeting and an attachment. So I jumped into a meeting right away, as you can see here. Can you see my participant tab up here? I don't know if you can, Valerie.
We can. It's getting a little blurrier though. People are commenting on that on the screen. So the video I see, but your screen itself is actually getting a little, there you go. Now it's nice and clear. Now it's nice and clear.
Of course, it's that turning off the optimization. Thank you. Sorry, you guys. I really am I'm gonna get better, right? We all are. We're working to get.
Just a heads up, because as a facilitator, sometimes you will have that. Your students will say it's blurry or they can't see. So I know sometimes my students will have Pandora running on their machine or YouTube. So, you know, obviously the more you have running, the more challenging it is for your computer to keep up. So just as you're mindful in running any other piece of software, that's something to kind of check first is, well, how much, you know, CPU power is running, you know, and that kind of thing.
Absolutely. Yeah, that does make a difference. So just so you know, when you're in Meet, you will see up on top, this right here, these are the participants who are in your meeting, and then there's a chat as well. So not a lot of huge features, but features that can get you face-to-face with whoever you need to be contacting. You can do it quickly. The other piece that I wanted to share is, you know how I just jumped right into a meeting right now? Well, if you have people who are ready for the meeting, then do that spontaneous meeting. But typically you're going to want to schedule, right? So let's go back to our calendar. Let's see, I closed it. So I am going to open again my calendar, and if we were going to schedule, now you see my Zoom is in here, but I also can add, do you see where it says add conferencing right here? I can add a Hangouts Meet. And that's what that is. It's a Google Meet right here. So instead of adding a Zoom, I want to use the closed captioning, or I need to use the phone functioning. So I added this Google Meet in my meeting. Here's the information right here. It just drops down. So this is right in your Google Calendar. And I can invite my guests. Who do I want to come? Title this, of course. It's typically what I do first. You know, pick your time and so on, and save it. And then it will actually send this invite to your guests right here with this link information. But you can also copy this right from here if you want. See that little pencil that you can actually copy this if you wanted to send it in an email or put it in Google Classroom or your LMS. So that is that. Am I missing anything, Val, or anyone about?
There was just a question about sharing your screen, and you helped us with that, and so did Shelby. I think that's about it, actually. There have been some questions about HIPAA, and I just want to address that.
Oh, thank you. Yes.
Yeah, so on Zoom's website and on the HIPAAjournal.com, on that website, they do speak to Zoom. The security in Zoom being HIPAA compliant. Obviously, you'd want to run things by your legal counsel and that sort of thing, but it does say that they're HIPAA compliant and FERPA compliant. You'd still, of course, want to be careful in terms of what you say, and in working from home, are there other people around and that sort of thing. But to answer the question, technically, yes, it is HIPAA compliant. That's on their website and in other places as well.
It's right here as well. So I added that to our list of resources. So let's take a look at those. So this right here is the HIPAA, and I had some questions prior to this meeting on that. And just like Val, what you're saying, like, I don't know all of the compliance issues. All I know is that this is their document. Take a look at that and take a look at it with your student services director or whoever needs to be involved to make sure that you are within your compliancy. So just check that out. And then here are some other Zoom getting started with and some other, let me just close this out. This is the video that I was talking about, this interactive video. Here you will see this, oh, that was the video I was talking about. This one here, what I want you to know is that CISA 2 has created some collaboration groups too, and they are all by grade level or by subject area. So we're just trying to create a platform for folks to talk about what they're doing, you know, just to support one another. So if you click here, you'll be able to see all of the groups. If you would like to join one, this is the access code, and above you will also see the directions on how to get to those groups. So basically just go to schoology.com, create a free account, and you can follow those directions. Let's see, what else? Okay, so there are some other really good resources from Zoom. So just like what, oh, look at right here. Here's a new one. Just like what Val was talking about, go ahead and take a look at their examples. They have some really good examples. And come back to this document because we will try and answer your questions over here. Oh, I know, there was a question on email prior to the meeting today, and it was about math and assessments. Can Zoom actually help with math assessments and keeping kids, for lack of a better word, honest, I guess, just so that you know that it's their individual work. So as you can see now that we've gone through Zoom, the only way that I could see that happening is, and this is just off the top of my head, is basically having Zoom on and they have something that they're using like writing, you know, so the video is on their writing. The tool that I would suggest would be actually using Google Forms to create online, because I think the question was really about online math assessments and how do you know that the student is doing the work. So Google Forms has an option now to lock kids out of any other tab, so they would stay right in that Google form. If that's something that you're interested in, take a look at that and go to quizzes when you're making it, and that's an option that you would just click on, and it'll keep students right in their kind of their lane. Also, just so you are, just because we're talking about math, there's something called Equatio out there. It's a free extension. So those math teachers who are like, how am I going to get my equations into Google Forms? Well, if you use that extension, what it does is it works with your Google Forms. And so when you're in Forms, you'll see a little, it'll be a little icon for Equatio. You click on that and you can make your equation right in Google Forms. It's glorious. Just wanted to let you know about that. So are there any other questions, Valerie, before we call it a day today?
I am not seeing what there was. Just a question about breakout sessions in Google Meet, and I don't believe there are unless you know otherwise.
Not that I know of. Nope. No, and that's why you would, yep.
Can I jump in for 30 seconds to say I was in a meeting earlier today, and on the WASB website, under continuity of learning, there's quite a bit about HIPAA and FAPE, and quite a bit of information that WASB offers on any questions around that.
That's awesome. Thank you for sharing. Do you want to put that in the chat? Is there a link for people? Perhaps Ron or Valerie, I don't know.
I think if they just go to WASB, there'll be a pop-up that is titled, I'm looking at my notes. There'll be a pop-up that talks about COVID-19, okay. And right underneath that, there's a an access link that you click, and then it gives you all sorts of information. One of the topics being continuity of learning, where some of this would come up.
Awesome.
I think I found it. I'll put it in the window as well.
Thank you so much. Appreciate it.
And then there was just a question. So to get a copy of the transcripts from the chat window, you'll see in the group chat to the bottom right, it says file, and then there's a little ... I think that allows you to download this transcript, and we'll be sending follow-ups and such as well.
Absolutely. Yep.
And do parents need a Google account to use Google Meet?
No, I don't think so. And I'm saying I don't think so because I don't know that 100%. I believe if you send even, the phone number, they could actually access it through phone. And I think it's just like Zoom. You just send the link and they can access it through the link. It does not ask when you join for a Google email account.
Great.
Test that though to be 100% or 100% on.
Right, and a lot of the connection companies are upgrading their platforms fast and furious too. So, it's likely that some of the features we share with you today will be enhanced tomorrow.
Right, exactly. Yeah, they are definitely working hard for us, and we so appreciate it. And we just want to say that same thing to you. Thank you for taking time out today. I know that you are all extremely busy. We just want to say thank you so much for all of the work that you are doing for all of your students and your families. And please take care of yourself. It's so important. And connect over Zoom or Google Meet. Make sure that you're getting some humanness in your life. And take care of yourself. So thinking about you, please check our, before we all go, I want you to see this. Oh boy, no. I want you to see this because we are uploading webinars. Tomorrow we'll be uploading more webinars that are coming. So if you go to our CISA 2 website, you're going to see tomorrow we also have a language and culture virtual learning with language and culture, which will be phenomenal. Sign up for that one. And we're going to continue to populate. So next week, we're going to do things like Screencastify. There's literature. There's going to be some online teachers doing a panel, all sorts of great things. And we're going to populate this page. And just so you know where to find links, if that email is not to you as soon as you need it to be, all of our webinars, including this one, will be posted right here on this page.
And if you're not seeing things that you need, these are uncharted waters for all of us. Please don't hesitate to reach out. We want to make sure that you are as supported as you possibly can be.
So have a good afternoon, and we will be in touch. Take care.